Good morning, everybody. This is DearMamaSal, and it is a pleasant day. 9 degrees here in southern British Columbia. Make it 50? No, 48. 48 in American. High clouds, blue sky, nice day. The subject for today comes from a viewer. And I love it when you guys send me subjects to talk about. It saves me having to think in the morning. Although sometimes I think at night. Right, here we go. So here was the overall subject. It was about disappointment. Somebody who is disappointed in their job. Obviously, they had higher hopes and different hopes for a job that's turning out to be not the job they thought it was. And the subject of disappointment hits all of us, not just those of us who are in a job. The subject of what we imagined life would be like is not the reality of what life is like, hits us, many of us. Whether it is in a marriage, in our children, you name it. And so I thought I'd talk about disappointment, because disappointment is something that really does affect us all to some degree. How it affects us is the difference. Now, in order to be disappointed, does it make sense that we needed to have expectations? In order to be disappointment, to have disappointment, we must at some level have expected something or imagined something. So really, or somebody painted a picture for us that was different from the reality, which would be a lie or a betrayal or whatever. This is a big subject for me. I've come across this rather a lot. And I don't mind telling you, this used to push me right out of shape. Bent out of shape for the longest time. And sometimes it would take me years to recover. Until one day, I don't know what happened, a switch went off in some way. And I changed. I changed how I saw it, and I changed how I reacted to it, and I changed how it affected me. Now, I'd love to tell you I'm perfect and I've got it all sorted out, but I haven't. But I'm a lot better than I was, I can tell you that. So here is what I do when something happens that disappoints me, or somebody disappoints me. The first thing I do is I look at myself and say, okay, fine, what did I expect? And why? And so I look at that because did I create my own disappointment? Did I have an expectation that was greater than the reality I was told about? Or did I do the famous one, which is it'll all be okay once I'm there, or once I'm married, or once whatever. In other words, that we're expecting a future to be different from the present. And then I wonder whether some disappointment isn't attached to entitlement at some level. I've always wondered about this one, which is, it's not fair. I deserve better. Or it's not fair, I've struggled so hard. Or it's not fair, whatever entitlement goes after that. I wonder if that makes any sense to you, because I used to do that a lot. I've worked so hard. So one day I woke up and I said a few short words, not very polite, and I still say a few short words and they're not very polite when I get disappointed. And then I try very hard, and I mostly succeed in saying, it is what it is. Get over it. And I normally, luckily I'm just at a traffic light, I normally do this. Get over it. That's all it is. It's an obstacle. Get over it. And sometimes the visual helps me. You know, I literally do this. Get over it. It's not perfect, so get over it. Let go of your dream in that, you know, or do your dream a different way. So, having said that, it sounds simple, but it isn't. It requires that you talk very severely to yourself, and in a very adult way, quite honestly. Because maybe the knight in shining armor isn't coming to save you. Maybe there isn't a sugar daddy on your horizon. Maybe the perfect job is not out there. Maybe we have to learn to cope with what is and learn to be happy within what is. Now, I don't often talk religion, but I want to talk a little bit of Zen here. I think that I've got it right. But Zen is all about learning to be within yourself and not to have the external factors keep knocking you off your balance. That's my definition of Zen. And so I don't know if any of you have ever heard of Stewart Wilde. He did a lot of work on the Tao. Now the Tao is an interpretation again. It's spelt with a T, just to really mess you up. And I will put up a link to some of his work, because I'm certain it's on YouTube. But one of the things I loved, I listen to Stewart Wilde whenever I get really out of whack, which is not very often these days. And I do believe that Stewart Wilde helped me get balanced, because he's funny. He's funny, but he talks about the Tao. And I believe that all these things are now sent for a reason. I believe that all these disappointments, all these challenges, all these excitements, whatever, are all sent for a reason. That's just my personal belief system. And that each one, if you like, is a little test. See how I'm doing. And sometimes I laugh and go, I bet you think that's going to piss me off. Well, it's not. And then some of them I overreact before I think, and then I go, okay, you get a point there. I have a little competition with them. So let's take the fact that I don't like my job. I mean, that's what the girl wrote to me about. job that they had high hopes for. And luckily, she was a smart enough person to work it out that maybe what she needs to do is to do the best she can until she can find a new one. Which is smart thinking. It's always much easier to find a job when you have a job. When I say that, you're not fighting that discussion about, well, where have you been for the last, 6 months or a year or whatever, and you have to say, I've been unemployed. That sort of psychologically isn't easy to do. However, I also believe that if you are busy looking for your next job when you're doing your present one, how much attention will you be giving to your present job? Will you be giving yourself a fair chance at succeeding at it? Probably not. It's the same thing as I said, I can understand that I could go and study to do the alternative medicine, but if I do, it'll take me away from the work I really want to do at DearMamaSal. And I think the expression is to try and serve two masters. To try and serve two masters isn't easy. So give that some thought as well. So let's think about what it is that you've been disappointed with or in recently. And I really challenge you to look at it and go, was it my expectation that was greater than the reality? Did somebody sell me a picture that was greater than the reality? And it was funny because when I think about this course that I might or might not have done, the first thing I did was to research it. And I realized that a lot of the language that they were using to describe it was language I had no knowledge of. And it didn't make it negative. It just would take a lot of studying just to understand what on earth these words meant. It was like speaking a different language in some places. Now, I've done courses where they've done that to me before. I became a radio ham before we ever had the internet, for example. But I really wanted to do that, and therefore I studied it and I learned the words. But I do believe that you have to get realistic and go, okay, fine. If I have to learn all of this, how much time do I have? How much reality is there around this? Is it really a course that I can take in a couple of days, or is it a course that's probably going to take me a year to study? Sorry, is it going to take me a year to study in order to actually be able to understand what I'm learning? What about if you're disappointed in yourself? What if your expectations of yourself are greater than your current reality? Now, I know you might be surprised to hear that, but I find that all the time. Where I'm all gung-ho about something, and then my reality is I don't do as well at it as I might wish to. And the question is it because I am a failure, or is it because I'm not doing the right things, or not doing the right things well enough, or whatever it is? And so what I try and do is, when I look at what I'm doing in my life and I'm disappointed in my results, I try and do two things. Number one is I try and forgive myself. Try actually is a bad word for me. I don't try. I'm a great believer, either do it or don't try. You know, if you say to somebody, will you be there on Friday? Well, I'll try. That means no. And I normally tell people, oh, that means no, okay. And they go, no, I said I'd try. Yeah, but it doesn't mean you're coming. Because if you wanted to come, you'd say, I'll be there. So I like to talk about that. So I really look at my life and forgive myself for what I haven't done, or for not doing it properly, or for not seeing what I should have seen. For example, if I'm disappointed in something and I look at the reality of it and go, you know something, I bought into the Kool-Aid a little bit here and I thought it was going to be much better than it actually is, and therefore I'm disappointed in myself for allowing that to happen. That can be a disappointment. And what I do is just go, okay, so you did. Hopefully it's not going to kill you. And I haven't yet found too many things that do. And then the next thing is, what do you want to do about it? Because I sure as heck don't want to sit moping around the fact that I made a bad decision, or moping around because I bought into something that wasn't a reality, or beating up on myself. What's the advantage of doing that, other than having a pity party and feeling sorry for myself? No, that doesn't fix it, from my experience. It helps you feel depressed, if that's what you want, and then you've got an excuse for not doing anything because I'm depressed. But it really doesn't fix anything. So the reality is, I need to look at it, see where I made a wrong move if I did, or where I need some more learning if I do, and then get on with it. And also to remember that just because somebody else can do things in a week, maybe it takes me a month. Just because somebody else can do things overnight, maybe it takes me a year. You see, I believe that my speed is the right speed for me. I'm always believed that. My speed is the right speed for me. Your speed is the right speed for you. And we don't know what this supposed disappointment could bring us that we don't know about. So always think about the fact that maybe within this, I'm a great believer, everything is there for a reason. Maybe within this disappointment there is a silver lining that you don't know about. Maybe you need to be in this job for you to find another one. Maybe you need to be in this position for somebody to realize that you're better suited for another one. Maybe you need to be in this job to meet the love of your life. You know, I mean, I'm a great believer that when you look back in 5 years' time, it will make more sense. So I look at some of the disappointments and try and remember there is somewhere down the line an upside to this. I just haven't seen it yet. I just believe there is a reason. So maybe the reason was to teach me not to do something. That's a pretty good reason. And I also believe, as some of you know, that I will keep getting this lesson thrown at me time and time and time again until I get it. And that has been something that has disappointed me a great deal. But it is my truth. Some lessons I have been given so many times that it's getting quite boring. And others, I sort of got the lesson and went, okay. And the most important lesson for me is around disappointment. Because I believe part of the reason I have the mentality I do today is because I was disappointed so many times. And eventually that light went on and I went, you know something? I can blame the job, the man, the experience, the whatever, for my unhappiness. And it's not going to change how I feel. I really believe that I need to be happy around whatever's happening to the best of my ability. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't get seriously pushed off balance every now and then. But then I remember the Zen. Then I remember that my job is to keep my inner self calm, regardless of what's going on the outside. And so if I go into life stressed, I will meet a lot of stress. But if I can go in with a calm, with a willingness to learn, with a reality base, then maybe I can just do my job, even if I don't love it, and be thankful for the fact I'm getting paid, and go home and live my life. Maybe I can understand that I don't have to be the best at it. I don't have to be the number one performer, which I used to think was necessary for so much of my life. Maybe I just need to do the job. And maybe I need to learn to say, no, I can't do that. Something happened recently where my boss needed me to do something, and I said, I'm really sorry, as much as I'd love to, I've got to tell you, right now I can't do that. Because I was busy training a student, and I was busy doing a lot of other things at work, and it was just total overload. And I said, you know, normally I do it in a heartbeat, but, as you know, but right now, can't do it. And he said, no problem. And he went and found somebody else. So, was he a little disappointed in me? Probably. Did I let that spoil my day? No. It was just my truth for that day. So we all get disappointed. And how we deal with it is what keeps us at peace or has us in stress. This is DearMamaSal saying thank you for listening. Bye-bye for now.